All right. A warm welcome to everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Don't mind for those who can on camera, just on your camera because it would be nice to kind of put a face to the name. Yeah. So don't mind. I just give you a couple of minutes to on the camera. We just take a nice photo just for memories, and I will post it up for you guys. Hi Raja, nice to see you.
Hello.
Wow, Tauke James Yao. Nice to see you, man. Hi, Chris. Hi, Angela. Hi, Peter. Can you guys on the camera? Okay. Just to let you know, we are live on my YouTube channel. So the recording will be made available for you guys, and it will be announced on all my social media. Hi, Peter. Nice to see you. Right, we've got Raja here also. Yeah. Okay, let's take a photo. It's okay. It's okay. All right. All right. For those who cannot, we'll just take a snap and then we'll just carry on. Yeah? Just give me a minute. Okay, done. So okay, today we're going to talk about discovering the searchability factor. So basically, it is very important to be able to be searchable, and there are certain strategies that we will be looking at as to how do we remain to be searchable, right? So I prepared something like, that I've got the notes that is like 30 over pages. I will just deliver it to you. Hope to keep it within 2 hours or so, because I think anything more than 2 hours is quite hard to absorb. So we'll just dive right into it, right? So first question we want to ask, what do you understand by being searchable, Raja?
People can find us in a double quick time.
Okay. Peter, what's the benefit of being searchable?
So that your website can be, your website and your products can be found by your potential customers or customers.
Yeah, okay. So well done, right? So we'll dive into it, and we're going to see why this is so. What are some of the strategies that we can do? So today's topic is discover your searchability factor, and first I will start with an introduction about myself. I'm Eugene, the SEO King, and I am the former digital director of Standard Chartered Bank Retail Banking in Singapore. I am also involved in the digitalization efforts of the Catholic Church in Singapore. We were instrumental in trying to set up the infrastructure, website, social media presence for some of the churches and Catholic Church organizations in Singapore. My prior experiences is in the implementation of customer relationship systems and shopper loyalty programs in the established malls in Singapore, as well as consulting the lawyers in PDPA implementation for the major shopping mall groups in Singapore. I'm an avid digital marketing strategist, as well as a certified search engine optimization principal consultant. I am known as SEO King, and I manage 360 degrees digital marketing campaigns for corporations and SMEs, and to create a digital footprint to attract, engage, and retain more customers. I was a mentor at Lithian Academy, mentoring a group of professional diploma students, and I am currently also a mentor in Republic Poly for their entrepreneurship community mentorship scheme. So, what does it mean to be searchable, right? So basically, searchability is the state of being searchable. That is the official definition. And why is it important for business to be searchable? So that you will be able to be known for your services. And basically, we are here to establish a searchability blueprint. At the end of this session, you'll be able to use this blueprint to guide you in your business, in your consultancy work, and basically be able to move ahead with implementing a best searchability plan for your business or for your clients, right? So before we even look at the blueprint, we must first understand that there are different stages of sales, right? So we start with the first stage, which is people don't know of your existence. And when people don't know of your existence, how do you move them for them to know you? How do you move them from knowing you to remember you? And then start to like you? And then perhaps start to trust you? And when they trust you, perhaps you start to get sales. Okay, someone is unmuted, so please mute. And after that, they are more than willing to shout about you or to tell others about you. So this is the process which we call the different stages of sales. And our objective is to see how these different stages of sales that we can use this to our advantage. Next. So there is this cycle where when we start, people don't know you. And then we start to build our brand. And we start to get visibility. And then we get to more exposure. And basically, for this part, people start to know you already. And then when you get more exposure, people remember you. And then you get that brand recall. And then, retention. And that is where people start liking you. Next, you start to establish authority. And that's where people start to trust you. And eventually, you kind of get sales. Then you get repeat sales. And last, you reach the stage of advocacy, where people feel very strongly about your brand and people will start to shout about you. So this part is actually where you get the sales. Right? Yeah. So that is a simple summary, right? And as we know, how do we get searchable? We have already touched on it, and why is it important to get searchable? So in case you want to get the recording, you go to I am SEO King and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Currently, it is being streamed live here. When you go to imseoking.com, you will see that there's a pop-up subscribe, so you can subscribe. And the training is right now stream live. So what I want to say is there are different aspects that people will be searching for, and one is YouTube search, which is they will type like florist. You must know that there are different ways in which people can search for, right? So florist is one way, that is YouTube search. Next, when people go to Facebook, they will search for florist as well. This is social media search, is same for Instagram as well. When people go to LinkedIn, there's also a search where they can search for florist. And basically, since we are on the topic of LinkedIn, it is very important that you structure your profile properly, that you'll be able to be also searchable, because people do look you up. You are the founder of this company. What are your past job experiences and all this? So do update your LinkedIn profile. So like for me, I make sure my experiences are up to date, right? I mentor of Republic Poly, and I was former mentor of Lithium as well. So I updated. And also it's very important to have whatever licenses and certificate to update as well. And recommendations play an important part to being searchable. So your LinkedIn profile, if you get people that you have past service, they can actually write a recommendation for you, right? So next, we come to a case study, which is one of my client that I managed to do. So one thing I want to emphasize for you guys is that whenever you're doing a search, remember to log off. Okay, when you see this Google profile, means you are logged in. When you are logged in, your results will be so-called tailored to you and no one else. So this is called personalization of search. So when you want to know what is the true result, especially when you're doing SEO for clients, the first thing you do is you have to sign out or use incognito window, right? So I'm going to sign out on my account. And basically I'm going to do a search. So for example, wedding ice sculpture Singapore. So this is an example, 11 million results. And guess what? You saw that the images. Now notice this. These images are intentionally done. This is called branded images, so that when you click, when this image appears alongside another image, people will know that your image, which is the company that is doing this ice sculpture, and how to contact. This is very important, because if they like this sculpture and if you don't put a way for them to contact, you are missing an opportunity here. So this is intentionally done. So as you can see, they are able to rank for images in the image pack. You notice that Ice Carving Singapore, this is their website. They are in they are top. This is their competitor. They are also able to rank on the Google Map pack, and basically their YouTube also appears, and basically even Pinterest and Twitter, hot frog listing of the company. Yeah. So who thinks it's awesome? Who wants to learn how to do this? Can you unmute yourself and say that you want to learn to do this? Come on. Come on, guys. Want to learn to do this? The one that we end the
Yes,
session.
yes,
Right?
I want to.
Yes, only Raja. So Raja, later we have a private one. Okay.
Me.
Yeah, welcome, Gobs. Thanks for coming, right? What we want to do is to address this thing. Being searchable is one thing, right? It is after people search, what do people see? The text. Is it engaging that they will click through to you? Like for example, in the Takli case example, in a Google organic search, there are 10 results. Takli easily dominate 5 or 6 results. So the chances of inquiries is very high because when people see on Google page 1, people see your company mentioned 5 or 6 times on Google page 1, and we are talking about we're talking about 11 million results, and out of 11 million results, your company appear at least 6 times out of 10. So that is the credibility and authority that Takli has established because they have actually engaged me to do their SEO work, right? So now next important concept that we want to do is that when we are searchable, does it mean it's only keywords only? So I give you an example, right? If for an interior design company, straight away come to mind is interior design Singapore. But firstly, will people search for it? You know, what will people search for? So you have to dive deeper. What people will search for is basically the interior design Singapore. What people will search for is basically whether they are doing a commercial interior design or whether they're doing residential interior design. So the keywords that we need to look at is probably like apartment interior design for 4-room apartment and things like that. These are what people will search for. Interior design Singapore, even if you get ranked, is of no use because there's not much of a search volume. Most people will search for interior design for a 4-room apartment, for example, right? So similarly for property agent, they don't rank for property agent Singapore or private property Singapore or even HDB flat Singapore, right? People will search for 4-room HDB flat or 4-room HDB Toa Payoh, 4-room HDB Ang Mo Kio. So you want to dominate this if you are property agent. Next, we come to this very important concept that I want to run through with you, and that is what we call the searchability blueprint. So if there is a blueprint that can guide us as we try to make our business searchable or our client searchable, then what it is. So we're gonna use this. So this is called the searchability blueprint. There are 8 things you need to consider. And the first thing is branding. The next thing is design. Next is what we call the market positioning. Next is our target audience. Next, of course, is competitors. Next is what we call the magnetic persuasion. Next, we look at what is the type of business. And finally, we look at keywords. So when we're looking at branding, there are 2 aspects that we look at. One is the company branding and one is the personal branding. So for example, the example that I've given to optimize your LinkedIn profile that is under personal branding, it can also reflect on how well your company is if every staff bother to update their LinkedIn profile, then your company will look at professional. For company branding, if you are a property agent, you are financial advisor, then company branding you don't really have control. But if you are running your own company, your own consultancy, then how do you want the public to see your company? Next, we look at design, right? So design, basically, it has to be consistent. You have to look at the colors that you use. And there is such a thing as the psychology of colors. You can Google that. And basically, they tell you certain colors invoke certain emotion. So this is something that could be useful to you. So that are the considerations of design. And the most important thing is whether it is mobile optimized. Today, in this day and age, most of the teams are mobile optimized, so we will not have a problem. Next, we look at market positioning. So market positioning, we look at few things. What is your market? So for example, I am in the weight loss business, then weight loss is my market. But weight loss as a market is very big. So let's say, for example, I want to do weight loss for women, which is a smaller market. But even smaller market, there's still a lot of competition. So what I do is I break my weight loss for women market into different sub niche. So break weight loss for women who have just given birth could be a target market that I want to conquer first, and then I will conquer who want to get married, right? So basically what you do is you break the niche into sub niche, and then you conquer the sub niche before you move to the next sub niche. This will also help you rank easier because there are less competitor. Although yes, there will be the search volume might be lesser, but if you optimize correctly and be the category leader, then you can actually move on to the next category. So next, we come to the target audience. As simple, can you map to a person? For example, your niece, right? Can you map to her? Next, we come to competitors. We must know where they hang out and what are they doing online as well as offline. So for example, is the cafe, let's say you open cafe and your competitors are giving out brochures with a QR code that people can scan and straight away come in, join the mailing list and come in and get a free cup of coffee. That's called customer acquisition. So then you ask yourself, are you doing that? So magnetic persuasion, next we move on to magnetic persuasion, is actually copywriting. And copywriting is very closely related to the target audience, the market positioning, as well as the branding. So as you can see, magnetic persuasion is closely related to branding, closely related to the market positioning and the target audience. This is, you need to have the right message to the right people. Next, we talk about type of business. So type of business is very important. So a lot of people say, oh, there is, like a bubble tea shop. I want to open another bubble tea shop. Then you become a Me Too business. So for a Me Too business means you are entering a very saturated market. Instead, you should look at how you can be the first mover, so that there is a first mover advantage and you are coming into a very niche market and there is no competitor, so you can actually dominate the market. The next thing we look at are keywords. Are keywords the same? As we have said, property agent Singapore, no point ranking for that, right? So you need to look for keywords in your industry that have commercial buying intent. What do I mean by that? So for example, private property Singapore versus private property Holland, right? So private property Holland has a slightly stronger buyer intent because there is a location that is defined. If you then move further to say 4-room apartment in Holland, then that is the keyword that we want to target because that keyword has the highest buyer intent. So this is basically the searchability blueprint. And next, we want to look at the in-depth business analysis. What are the things that you need to look for in-depth business analysis? So one of the very interesting thing that you can do to analyze your business is this thing called the business model canvas. And the business model canvas basically means that there are certain things that you look at and basically that enable you to see what are the things that your business need. And for example, first thing that you need to do is for any business, what is your key partner? So who are the people that you can work with together to deliver the business, whether it's your supplier, whether it's your, delivery partner even, right? So these are defined as key partners. Next, you look at what are the key activities of your business, what are the things you need to do, like marketing, sales, and customer service and all that. Next, you look at the key resources that you need. Perhaps you need 3 staff. You need to hire 3 staff to handle different roles. Next, you look at what is the value proposition that you can bring to the market. Value proposition is being unique. If you are a first mover advantage, or if you have first mover advantage, what are the value that you can bring to the market to quickly conquer the market? Of course, you need to establish like customer relationship. You need to define your customer segments, and you need certain channels to address to them. And channels normally means like, for example, social media marketing, ads, SEO, email marketing, loyalty program, and things like that. So you need to establish all this, and then you look at your revenue streams, your cost structure, and this is what we call there's a systematic way, which is called the business model canvas. I may do a short course for this sometime down the road so that we can all analyze this better, right? And as what we said, these are the components, right? The customer segments, who are the customer, what they think, what they feel, value proposition, what is compelling, what do customer buy and use, what the channels, how are these propositions promoted, sold, customer relationship that you're building, the revenue streams, the key activities, key resources, key partners, and what is your cost structure. So this is an example of how Spotify does their business, right? So next, when we want to analyze competitors, there is this model called the source stack, which basically looks at situation analysis on where you are, what are the objectives that you want to be, what are the strategy that take you there, and what are the tactics and action that get you there, and what is the control that we can monitor the performance. So what I'll do is I will make the slides available on SlideShare in the recording in imseoking.com so that you can actually download the slides if you want to, right? So there's no need for taking of notes or things like that. Okay, so this is a very nice pinwheel that you can use to guide yourself to analyze your competitor. So basically you look at like your advantage. Now, how do you win business? How do you lose business, right? Your competitors, who are your ideal customer? What is the type of lifetime value that you can provide? So lifetime value is a customer will buy how much in a lifetime. Who are your existing customers? Are they loyal? Your competitors, who they are, where they hang out, how they do their marketing, your market. Are you entering a saturated market, or are you a first mover advantage? So you can use source stack to analyze this. And basically there are these forms where you can fill up, your competitor 1, your competitor 2, and competitor 3. I'll make these slides available so that if you find this is useful, you can actually print out and really do some analysis of your competitor, right? Give me a minute. So next we come to this analysis or chat about how the pandemic actually influenced digital marketing. As we all know, initially there was a lot of resistance in digital marketing. A lot of companies do not want to do that until the pandemic came, right? So pandemic came, when will the normal ever return? It's been 2 years, still no normal return. So now we are in the new normal. Safety distancing means that restaurant can only operate at 50% capacity. So businesses like restaurant, airline, travel, hotels, events, and convention are all impacted. We are all impacted because one fine day, our favorite restaurant will just say, will put a sign, sorry, this is our last day, which is sad, right? And how did the pandemic influence the digital marketing? As what we say, there are a lot of people that are affected, like florists, food outlets, neighborhood hardware store, furniture store. So why were they impacted? Because nobody expected a sudden pandemic. They relied too much on footfall traffic, and there's no online order. Everybody, when pandemic came, everybody met scramble to find an online order situation. They had no choice but to go on Grab. But guess what? The customer that grab food from you, there is no way that you can tell them, what are you selling tomorrow? They just grab food. They want it today. That's it. That's it. And the database belongs to Grab, right? So they didn't have a means to deliver to their customer, and they did not adapt fast enough. They were caught to be complacent, no ordering system, no e-commerce, they rely on Grab as like what we say, right? Grab owns the customer. They are resistive to technology. They say, no, there's no need for website. I have very healthy foot traffic. So when the work from home default first started, all these guys are really very impacted badly, right? So next we come to this thing that before we even look at searchability, we need to know what is the evolution of search and the emergence of Google. How did Google manage to take over, right? So firstly, which came first, the Google or the Yahoo? The Yahoo came first in 1994. Yahoo was born. Today, Google is the number 1. 1998, 4 years later, Google was born. 1994, Yahoo was born. 4 years later, Google was born. Today, Google is the dominant search force. Why? Because Google always at the get-go focus on user experience and relevant information. Initially, the indication of relevancy was, the more links you have on your website is more relevant. But today is no longer so. Search result relevancy. Google provided a more relevant search result, and Google was revolutionary because they said that anybody search, I give the result, and then the result clicks out to the guy's website. Whereas at that point in time, Yahoo was very directory centric. Whatever result that you search for, you get the company name. When you click, it is the listing, the company name listing in directory before you can click to the company website. So there's one extra click. Yahoo was trying to earn banner ads revenue this way, right? So, but Google decided to be revolutionary. There's no way to monetize. Google just made the experience relevant first, and later on, then Google Ads come into the picture, right? So one important thing of being searchable or search engine optimization is that you need to know what are the technologies that Google bought. And this is what we call the Google Love Google. So some of the key platforms that Google bought, and it's interesting to note that in 2010 and 2011, Google bought more than one company per week, right? In the race to be relevant. So Google bought technologies. Google bought Picasa in 2004 that form the basis of Google Photos today. YouTube, Google bought in 2006, and today YouTube is the second search engine after Google.com, right? And bought certain technologies for to establish AdWords and AdSense, Google Analytics also, and Google Maps. So today, Google give you a free way in which you can list your business directly, and that is called Google My Business, right? And basically, you need to list your company name, and Google will send a postcard to your company address, and you just need to verify, and you can claim that listing for life. So in the race to be more relevant, and because people were trying to cheat the system, in February 2011, Google roll out Google Panda. Google Panda is an on-page filter, making sure that you do not repeat your keywords too many times and your content become rubbish. So Google Panda addresses quality content on website. So that is Google Panda. Google Penguin addresses that, make sure that you don't get too many links to your website that are non-relevant to your business. So that is Google Penguin, April 2012. Google Pigeon is updated so that if you are in Singapore, you search for wedding dress, then you will get the Singapore only search result. Google Hummingbird was rolled out to be able to understand more on the human search and the human intention. So of course, it's rolled out in 2013. By today, Google artificial intelligence are able to understand almost as close as human. But also Google has a team of human editors that really constantly help to update and improve the system as it goes, right? So of course, Google RankBrain. Google RankBrain is rolled out to handle never seen before search result. Like for example, a new name or a property launch, this name of the property you have never seen before. So Google RankBrain will handle the search query first, and then will discuss with Google Panda, Google Penguin, Google Pigeon, Google Hummingbird to give the best results for you. Right. So the key factors of search engine optimization and being searchable, and what are the core Google core concepts. So basically, there are 8 types of SEO. I will not be able to cover it in detail, but generally is technical SEO. Technical SEO looking at your website, whether your website loads fast enough, your mobile friendliness, your site structure. Next, we look at off-page SEO. Off-page SEO is the things that you do to get links, but remember, Google looks at more relevant results. So off-page SEO basically look at the links that you are trying to get to your website and whether the links are relevant, whether the links have a certain authority or not, right? And basically, next we look at on-page SEO. On-page SEO is what you do to make sure that your search results are relevant in your website itself, right? So what you do that your website content remains relevant. And then of course we look at local SEO. Local SEO is basically the activity that you do, and local SEO basically looks at your business name, your address, and phone number, whether it is consistent across the various directories that you list your business in. And if it is, then they will give you a positive vote, and they will know that your business is in Singapore. And when people are in Singapore and searching for that kind of service, Google will serve your business because you fulfill the local SEO requirements. Next, of course, we look at image SEO, which we have already looked at, right? Video SEO is how you optimize your basically your YouTube channel to rank on YouTube as well as to rank on Google organic result. And of course, we look at e-commerce SEO, and e-commerce SEO basically addresses that if you have like you have, for example, the categories, your products, you know, whether do you optimize all, you know, all these this kind of things, right? So that is what you call the e-commerce SEO, right? So next we look at basically what does it mean to be searchable, right? So as we can see that there are several ways that you can be searchable. So there are several ways that you can be searchable. One is on the Google Maps. One is in the image search. One is in the video search. And of course, in social. So in the map search, how do you appear in the map search? You have to have a listing in Google My Business. In the image search, how do you appear in the image search? You need to list in Google Photos. And in the video search, you know, you need to make sure that you optimize in YouTube. And in social, depending on where your audience is, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So these are the common platforms that you list. So remember that the higher your searchability factor, the higher that you will rank, the higher authority that you gain for your industry, right? So again, we remember the different stages of search. People always start with they don't know your business, they don't know your service. What do we do? Normally is an branding exercise to move them to knowing your business, your service, to remembering, to then they start to like you, they start to trust you, you start to get sales, and they really feel strongly for you, and you know, they will shout or they will help you spread your business. And why is it good to have a very high searchability factor? It really helps you in your visibility, searchability. It will establish your credibility, your authority. And our aim here in being searchable and being top in the minds of your consumer or target audience is to try to get onto the top 3 of the search result, because the top 3 of search result get clicks, or like in the case of Takli, multiple Google page one, right? So basically, how can we measure our marketing activities? How can we measure our marketing activities? Basically, there's an intangible way and there's a tangible way. So the intangible way basically is you know, what again we as what we say, you know, in the sales process, the intangible way is generally branding activity is intangible. You can't really measure. Of course, in today's advancements, there is such a thing as social media listening. Tools that can actually you know, help you measure what the brand mentions and things like that. So remember that it takes 5 times, 5 exposures to your brands or service that people start to remember you, start to like you, and start to trust you, right? So this is the basically the intangible way is that there are certain activities that you do, especially branding and certain marketing activities, that directly cannot be attributed to sales, but it is a necessary activity so that it will result to sales down the road. That means branding activities do not really result to sales almost immediately, but it will result to sales down the road, right? So intangible measurements are, for example, branding, brand mention, brand recalls, like what we say, it takes 5 times that people encounter your brand that people will remember you, right? Tangible results will be, we will be able to install. The most immediate one is the Google Analytics. The next thing that we are important is that there must be a traffic attribution. And traffic attribution is different from Google Analytics. Google Analytics is important to install. Traffic attribution is you can use certain tag, TAG, to determine that for your this campaign, let's say, for example, you run Google ads and Facebook ads. At the end of the day, you can see how many people actually visit your site through Facebook ads and through Google ads, and which is the more effective one. So that is called traffic attribution. Next is it is possible in this day and age to measure the user behavior. And it is interesting at this point, right? For the user behavior, that, we will be able to install one of the software for our client, and the client was able to see they are actually an e-commerce site. So after we install Hotjar for them, Hotjar has this heat map, HEATMAP, and this heat map basically tells you, which are the more popular areas of your website. And just happen that on their homepage, they have an area where these are the featured products that they feature that that they want people to buy. So Hotjar has this heat map. So firstly, we looked at the heat map and we say, hey, that area nobody clicked. So the next feature of Hotjar, the free account enable you to record 100 video recordings of how, when people come to your website, how do they navigate to your website. So each visitor will result in one video. The free Hotjar version, I think, if I'm not wrong, they give about 100 videos, right? So through the videos, we watch at least 10 to 15 videos, we realize that nobody actually navigate through there. So that means that area which you thought was a featured product that you want people to click is actually a blind spot to website visitors. So imagine if you don't install Hotjar, you will not know such such intelligence, right? And next we want to see also, here's a problem with most companies, right? So most companies, they will hire one company to do their website, one company to do their Facebook ads, and one company to do their Google ads. And then they have a certain sales, and then they get each of the company to run their own proposal. And basically, this is a very uncoordinated effort, because although it is so-called multi-channel marketing, but it doesn't achieve the result. So what more effective way is today what we call the omni-channel marketing approach. So the omni-channel marketing approach basically define one campaign, how you're gonna run on Google, how are you, for example, you run some ads, people visit your website, and then when people go to Facebook, they see a retargeted ad. So this is an example of a omni-channel approach, which means that your audience is everywhere. Are you even addressing them? There are companies that even don't bother to have YouTube because they say it is very difficult, right, to do a YouTube video. But is it, in today's day and age, as long as you have nice company product photos, you have the ability to do what we call an image slideshow video. There are free tools that can help you export these videos as well, right? And as we have seen in the earlier segment, how did Google remain to be relevant, right? So Yahoo came in 1994, Google came 4 years later, and they will be able to be relevant because of this, right? This is just a recap. So Google equals relevant because of these 2 points, right? So they bought technologies and they make algorithm updates. So the technologies that they bought, these are some of the key things, right? So if you want to your business to rank, these are some of the key technologies that you need to be on: YouTube, Google Image, and Google My Business. And the algorithm updates, there's Panda, Penguin, Hummingbird, Pigeon, and RankBrain, right? And so next we come to this thing, like what can we do, right, to be searchable? So what can we do to be searchable? We recap again that. Just give me a minute, let me clear this. So what can we do to be searchable? That firstly, we need to know that there are ways to be searchable. One is in Google search, and Google search, basically we talk about our website or our Google My Business and our YouTube, how these are able to appear on what we call the Google page 1. And we're talking about multiple listing as proven in the Tagley example, right? So next, of course, we talk about the Google image search, which is shown that if you optimize your image correctly, it can appear on Google page 1 as well. The YouTube search, or what we call the video optimization, and the map search, which is what we call the Google My Business, and as well the search on social, because your audience are there. You need to know what is your target audience and where do they hang out, right? So next we come to this thing, some of the common mistakes that that people make when they want to be searchable, right? Trusting the SEO company, because SEO company will say that I can make your company name searchable. It is very easy to make the company name searchable. All you need to do is just to list it on Google My Business, right? And one common mistake of some businesses is that they do not update enough on social media. On their website, they use the wrong social media because they thought that Facebook, they're updating a lot on Facebook, but their audience is younger. They need to they dismiss Instagram, but their audience are within the age range, right? And sometimes their audience don't even use Facebook. Having a nice website with nice images. Guilty companies are interior design companies. They have nice images, but they don't have text, T-E-X-T. If you don't have text, how do you rank, or how do you rank for search engine optimization? Not having a presence in Google My Business and not having YouTube, or not having presence in YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world after Google.com. Not having a YouTube presence is suicide, ladies and gentlemen. And not having the right copy for the right audience, that's also key. We not only look at copywriting, we also look at magnetic persuasion, how we can persuade people. Copywriting, there are a lot of resources on that. There are people like Frank Kern who's very good at that, so you can actually look at that. Also, not knowing my target audience, right, for my actual target audience, and that is also suicide, right? So we come to the last part. So very importantly, Google, some of the core concepts is also how you can establish expertise, authority, and trust with Google. If you're able to do that, then Google will find that you have a very high searchability factor and they will rank you accordingly. Page experience is very important. Is your website mobile friendly? Does your website provide safe browsing with no crazy pop-ups? Is your website HTTPS secured? And yeah, no instructive interstitials is basically that means that you don't have any irritating pop-up stuff, right? Remember Google, the Google Love Google concept, Google My Business, Google Photos, YouTube. Very quickly, 8 types of SEO: technical SEO, off-page SEO, on-page SEO, content SEO, local SEO, image SEO, video SEO, e-commerce SEO, right? So basically, what Google is looking at the end of the day is whether your website is fast, whether do you use the Google properties for your ranking, is it easy to use, no bounce rate. Bounce rate means when people come to your page and then they just close the browser, right? And whether your website is device compliant, right? Here are the immediate tips to improve your SEO for your business. So if you are in Singapore, try to get your hosting in Singapore. Your keyword, try to have in domain name. Although this is not really emphasized that much anymore by Google, but in a very competitive niche like property, it still plays a part, right? Buy SSL secured for your domain. Website with beautiful images, little text, very hard to do SEO. Pay attention to mobile optimization. Make sure test your website load speed. Content optimization, always write for the readers in mind. Make sure your content has topical relevance and contextual relevance. Optimize the image file names, and basically your local SEO list in Google My Business and related directories, but make sure your name, address, and phone number maintains the same format. Video optimization, optimize on your YouTube and social media images. Have a presence on social media, branded images on photos, and go live technology is important because go live technology, the community that you gather in Facebook page, when you go live, they are informed instantly. Just like my lovely YouTube subscribers, I have 500 over YouTube subscribers. Now I'm going live, they will be informed of this session. So thank you very much for this sharing. I hope that it has been useful to you. I have got 2 days. Unfortunately, I'm not able to cover a lot, but I've got a 2 days SEO course certification, certified by UK. Skills Future claimable, $500, 2 days, online Zoom. For those of you that are interested, you can contact me. So, okay, Jimmy is having my website HTTPS supported factor in SEO ranking. HTTPS is now a ranking factor. It is. Okay, so if all is okay, we will end the session today. Thank you very much for attending the searchability factor. If you want to get the recording, it's available at imseoking.com. So if you want to join my Telegram group, it's available at t.me SEO for B. Right? If you want to find out about my Skills Future course, it's available at Skills Future SEO.com. If you want to subscribe on my YouTube channel, it's available at I am SEO King.com. Okay, just take a snap of this and we'll keep in touch, especially in the Telegram channel. I'm generally quite responsive there. Right. So thank you very much, everybody.